In this video, I'll show you a simple way to work with ink only using just a pen and these ink brushes. First, I'll prepare my brushes by diluting them into a medium and a dark, and then I'll show you a step-by-step process sketching a home, showing you the layers and the effective way that you can apply layers of ink very effectively, similar to the watercolor approach, but better. This one can be even better because it dries faster and it's monochrome, so you can layer it so well that it really has that glowing, popping effect. It's one of the easiest ways to loosen up, learn values, and add depth without worrying about color. Here are some examples of my favorite works that I've done in ink wash. This is mostly work that I do for realtors, closing gifts actually, and it's such a fun process. It's actually something that I don't do enough in my personal work, but I absolutely love it, and we're going to go step by step on how you can do it too. Let's get started by mixing the brushes. Okay, here we have our tools. I have a little sticker that guides me in showing which one is dark and which one is light. After a while, the ink gets like caked onto the side, so you can't really see what's inside of it anymore. So I have a medium and I have a dark. I also have Lexington Gray ink. This was actually recommended by Paul Heaston, an absolute legend in sketching. I'm sure you know of him. Has millions upon millions of followers, I think, across all of socials. He's an amazing artist, and I took one of his workshops before. Actually, check out my favorite drawing that I've done from one of his workshops several years ago. So that actually used this Noodler's ink and these brushes. So what you're going to do is simply start with your medium. You could run it under a sink or you can fill it up. So if you want to know how much this fills, how about you fill it up first? So this is a full brush right here. Next, we're going to fill up our syringe. And how do you fill up the syringe knowing how much fits in here? Well, you're going to just remove the end. Right? And then I will take this filled with water and pour it in here. So this syringe roughly fills up to number 7. Okay, trying to show you at an angle. So the water that fills up here goes up to number 7. Now I know how much liquid can fill up into this water brush. So for the medium, I would say I'd like to put in half water, half ink. So I put half of water, the water that I had in here, I just put inside of here, okay? Next, let's get our ink out, empty the water out into the water cup, and we're going to fill this up with ink up to level 2 or 3. It was at 7, right? So I need to get it up to 3.5. Okay. So now we're going to fill this brush up with the rest of so we can dilute it. So we have water in there, and now we're going to fill it with ink. Should be good. It's half and half. So let's close this, shake it up, and test it. That's a good dilution. Yeah. Maybe you can even go a little lighter, but that's a pretty good level. Medium. I would say that's a pretty medium level. So that's half and half. Okay. Next, we're going to do the same thing to this one. And we're going to fill this with, instead of 100%, we'll go to like a level 5. 5 of ink and 2 of water. So let's fill this up now. We know how much ink we can put in here. So this will ensure that it doesn't overflow, get all over the place. But I'm putting 5 up to level 5 of the syringe of ink. And now the rest, I can put water. I can even put like dirty water in there. Okay, so that's a full brush of dark ink. Shake it up, and now we'll make a dark square. Significantly darker, right? That's because this is mostly dark. It's like 75%, like 80% dark ink. So now we have a dark and a medium. And you can have an additional brush. I usually just work with 2. So you can have an additional brush that would be even lighter than this one. But I like to work with these 2 because I can always use an extra like water cup or to dilute as I'm working, right? So I would often be able to do something like this, for example. So if I have the diluted one, the medium, I can like just put this in water. And then that would create a diluted ink there. And then while that's all wet, then I can add like a dark edge in here. All right, look at that. Ooh, see, that's the fun part once you start to see the ink do that sort of stuff. Here we have a commission. And this commission is a home in Los Angeles. So I typically do these black and white drawings, and we're gonna do a quick pencil sketch to prepare the drawing. Gonna be very loose to get things going, get things cooking. Doesn't need to be exact. But I don't need to do exactly the photo reference and do this whole foliage. I want to bring the house a little bit larger, more in center. I'm all good with that. Just going to try to actually diffuse that and bring more line work. So this is almost prepared for a ink wash. So most of this work is going to be about shading, values. Okay, so just need to get overall gesture of what's happening over here. Notice that I'm holding the pencil differently at an angle, a little bit more of a loose holding. I want to keep still looseness with my pen, but I could refine a little bit now. So I know where I'm going. I don't need to look up at the image anymore. I can just free flow, look straight down. I'm not gonna look down up at the image. I'm gonna try not to, okay? 3, 2, 1. Ah, shoot, it's a habit. It's a habit. So I gave it more of a dramatic angle there at the top. I want the home to have more attention, as I want the rest of the image to sort of fade and mist away. The focus here is the home. Let's be clear. Now, that's the home sketched. The rest, I can do sort of a soft outline here of the leaves. I want to do line work of the tree, the branches, and the rest can have a ink wash. Now we are ready to apply the ink wash. I have 2 levels here, darkest, medium. I'll start with a medium. Oh, I already blew up there a little bit, probably from a recent flight. What I'd like to do here is observe where my lightest parts are. So I'll circle, the lightest parts that the sun is coming through. Here, here, Now, I'll go in, and you can freely flow with this. Let the ink explore, soften the edges that meet the light. I might even need to get another paintbrush without ink in it. Next I have my darker ink wash in here. I'll go right on top here where I see the darkest parts. You notice I haven't gotten into leaves yet. I'm just looking at the values. Starting to have some semblance of leaves here. Notice I'm leaving that sun area there. It's the most sunlight. Here, let's get another paintbrush. I got a flat brush, just like a normal brush, not one of my special brushes. And I noticed that the sun direction is coming from the left. So I'll add this down here. Squeeze on the brush, letting it come out here. And what I'll do is I want to guide that over to the left with a water in my brush. Switch over, adding the lighter one. The lighter one is going to be for the bushes, like the leaves. Just tap on this brush, have this double jointed finger so I can just hit it quite hard. There we go. Let's keep going, filling in the background here. This is a great way to start before we bring into the foreground. So I can be loose with the background. Have not really any hard edges. I'm going in with this paintbrush of water. So when you have the water down, it'll have a nice dilution already on the page, creating softer transitions, gradients, really diffusing it into the background. Making great progress here. Now I'd like to then bring in the darker leaves here and then let this dry. We're going to come back in. I'll do the first layer on the home and then we'll go back down into the leaves. Notice the value difference, dark, solid here, light, diffused background. Great, applied all those leaves there. Now I can give it some specks, tiny leaves. I'm covering it so it doesn't splatter all over like the camera lens and stuff. All right, that looks good. You want to take a zoom in, see how this is looking so far? Okay, let's let that dry and then we'll come and finish the home, first layer, and then we'll come back to the leaves. Here comes the home, finally front and center. Let's get into the home. I'm starting with a medium shade. All right, everything that is not in direct sunlight. Let's go. Look at this, even the white parts of that window. No way, the white parts of that window. How is it possible that I'm sketching over the white parts? Well, it's not in direct sunlight. We can leave some spots of reflection in the windows, yeah, but not the white parts, not the matte objects, because those are not in direct sunlight. Now this rooftop is all in sunlight. Okay, so what I'll do later is just do some nice streaks, some like dry brush work on top of that. I think I'm going to go in with this brush here and start to mark these little inside moments of leaves. You notice that I am not drawing like the actual shape of a leaf anywhere. That kind of definition is reserved for the home, not the surroundings. Okay, it's looking a little flat here. I need to bring some volume here. Right, so we have the volume from the inside, the light here. I want to have it have some more dappled lighting here, comes up and over and dark again over here. So let's darken the right side. Let's go back into the home. This one deserves a second layer. I'd like to add perhaps some texture on this rooftop. I'll do some splatters. And then I'll take those splatters, use the flat brush, and take them across here. Great, I think the home is on its last layers. Last thing I'd like to do, well, for the background, is darken the background, but in moments I'm going to add water over ink wash back here. And then add those dark spots onto the water and they'll spread out nice and soft. Alright, I'd say we've got the final steps here. This last layer on the leaves, last texture on the tree, and you know, maybe just a little bit more on the house, but we're pretty much at the finish line. What are some areas that I could maybe bring focus into the center? I'm going to do like a line around certain leaves, could be a thing. I need to do some concentration zones of darks, so maybe that can be here only. Need to let the eye move around a little more, so like the transition from dark to light to the left. Okay, now that I've done that, super dark splatters up here, I'm going to play with them. I am happy with that. I think I can take off the edges and take a look at it from afar and see if there's anything else I need to add. Okay, that's it. I'm going to take off the tape now. There we go. What do we think? So that is a finished example of what it's like to layer with 2 ink brushes. That's it, just pen and ink, layered and simple washes. You can see how starting with light layers builds it up, gives it the depth without ever needing color. As the saying goes, color gets all the credit, but value does all the work. So try it yourself. It's one of the best ways to loosen up, practice values, and do quick sketches. Just travel with these 2 brushes and you're good to go. So if you enjoyed this process, feel free to subscribe to this channel so you can learn more sketching techniques as we evolve into different parts of the world, heading into Brazil soon and beyond. Happy sketching life, and we'll see you on the next video.